Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Michael Burhan here. Just to let you know that I'm here today to doing a live stream. Today's live stream, the other live stream I tried to do yesterday didn't work, so we're going to do it again. See how it goes and see where it goes from here. I thought I would entitle this live stream Dear Mr. President, Dear Mr. Potus, Mr. Donald A. Trump, Mr. American thing. And the reason why I'm doing this is I actually want to appeal to Mr. Trump's business side. And the reason I think I could probably get through to him because I'm awesome like that. I'm Michael Burhan. I'm good at pitching stuff. I pitched a Silent Hill pilot. I pitched a basically a television show pilot. I got stuff made by the BBC. So let's see if I could get the POTUS, Mr. Donald J. Trump, to listen to me and listen to my words and what I have to say. Maybe he won't listen. Maybe he'll look at this video and think this guy, this Englishman, has no right to comment on my dealings with my country. So let's start, shall we? Dear Mr. President, dear Mr. Donald J. Trump, dear Mr. POTUS, dear Mr. Great Person who runs a country. My name is Michael Burhan. You probably don't know me. You probably might not like me. My skin colour is brown. I'm conceived as someone who is of Islamic faith, even though I'm not. I'm considered as someone who's basically an Englishman. My country doesn't really like you very much. And the people in my country who are far left, who are extreme left, don't want you in here. Which I find it understandable, but at the same time, I feel there's a thing that we're missing, which is freedom of expression. We should allow you to come into this country and talk and discuss things with us. Not one just to negotiate trade deals, but another just to basically have you sitting with us and saying stuff to us. But for me, as someone who basically understands the term of what you're trying to appeal in terms of business, let me put something to you as a businessman. Now, there's an issue going on with refugees right now where you have an issue sparking in your country where you want to put up a big wall to stop a bunch of Mexicans from coming into your country, as you would put it. You want to basically stop Syrian refugees coming into your country because terrorism, you know? And I understand that. You want to protect families. You want to protect children. You want to protect American citizens. American citizens that you really don't want to give Medicaid to. And I get it. I understand. It costs money. All these things cost money. And as a businessman, you want to make sure that you pay a fair amount of money to those people who deserve it. The big corporations, you know, the Starbucks, the Amazons, the Googles, the big corporations who make loads of money for American people but don't pay a dime of American tax. I get it, Mr. POTUS. I understand it. And you want to give the hard-working American people back their money and their funds so that you can make sure that the American people are privileged and have everything they need, apart from, you know, reasons to basically have themselves patched up. I want to pose something to you. I want to pose to you the idea of making sure that people have their rights and freedoms. You want to beat Obama, you can be the best president in the world. The best president in the world. And the easiest way to do that, Mr. POTUS, Mr. President of the United States, is by giving people what they want. I know, it's shock, horror, isn't it? That's what business does, don't they? Businessmen give people what they want. If there's a brand or product, or if there's a branding out there that you could give people, you always give them what they want. So, Mr. President, I think I have a few answers for you. So let's go first to the Medicaid thing. Instead of, you know, ripping Obamacare from people's grasp and stopping the people that elected you from receiving free healthcare that they need to basically live, why don't you give a full life policy? What that is you fix the broken parts of Obamacare. I know, it's too complicated to fathom, isn't it? Fixing the broken parts of Obamacare. That would mean that you would have to literally tweak the Affordable Care Act to make sure that people receive the benefits and healthcare that they need. And you know what you could do? You could win those lovely women over. Win a women vote. And I know women are just objects that you like to see, and that should be catered towards men. We get it, Mr. Trump. But you know what you could do? Why don't you give them birth control on the Affordable Care Act? I know, and stuff that they need to help them in their everyday life, like breast cancer screenings. Because I know the businessmen, the wealthy, they need their limp dick pills. They need those blue pills because, you know, I'm getting on an age and I'm going to need those blue pills at some point because I'm a rowdy guy and I get it. I get it. And those blue pills also help with heart failure and heart conditions. I get it, Mr. Trump. I really do. But of course, on top of that, why don't you actually help transgendered rights and rights of those in the LGBT community? It's so amazing to think of that. You could do something like that. It's looking at people's rights is just. I swear that's the kind of thing that a kind of a psychopath would do, wouldn't they? But hear me out, Mr. Trump. Hear me out before you call me crazy. What you could do, you could basically make sure that those affecting, those who basically identify as trans, have the same freedoms of rights as everybody else. They have the right, of course, you've got gay marriage, you have the right to marriage, which not all states support. So you need to kind of fix that. If you tweak that, they'll love you for that. And then give the rights to have them to serve in your military. And I know they cost $2.5 million. Where you're going to find that money from? Maybe you could find it from cutting your holidays. But I don't know. I know that you may feel that that's too much of a task to ask, but you could bite it on the chin. You could take one for the team and you could make sure that they would get the healthcare that they need while they're serving for their country and basically dying for your people, you know, to serve and protect Americans. Even though I know it's kind of a weird thing, you know, they shouldn't really be serving in your military, but that could be your thing, and that would hurt Obama. That would hurt Obama like crazy, wouldn't it? Knowing that you did the one thing that he couldn't do, or say the two things that he couldn't do, the three things that he couldn't do when you fix all these problems in the country. Now, let's talk about immigration, shall we, Mr. Trump, Mr. POTUS, Mr. President, you awesome human being. Let's talk about that. And I know your hairpiece is not a wig, it's a hairpiece. You know, I need one of those. I wish I had as perfect hair as you, Mr. Trump. What you could also do to save this immigration problem, Mr. President, is you could set up a new visa. You know, we could use it to replace the HB1 visa that you currently have and that you're getting rid of right now to stop immigrants from coming into the United States. But hear me out. Please hear me out. Don't say anything. Don't object. Not yet. We could replace that with a visa where, you know, those little towns like Detroit, which are losing money right now, those towns that are basically laying there dormant, that have no, you know, businesses there, they have no agriculture, they have nothing. Maybe you can create a nice little visa for those guys, and what you do is you put an amendment on the visa, a little caveat says, if you want to come into this country, we're going to put you in this derelict town. And that way, we put people in there, we fill bodies, and we can put people to contracts. Contracts where their homes can be fixed up, can be helped, they get some grants in, you know, and then you place someone in there, like a senator of that town. And then you can get your buddies, you know, those big business buddies that you have, those friends like Walmart and big stores like that and big chains. You get them in there and you get them to basically provide jobs for people. And then what you do is you put them in a higher tax bracket. A higher tax bracket, higher than most people who are American, who are living in that country. That way, they pay tax, which goes towards the costs, you know, offsetting the cost of this little plan. And they basically have to be situated in an area and stay in that area for the next 5 years. After those 5 years, they get indefinite leave. They can stay there. So you increase house prices in a town that's basically dormant and derelict. You also bring big business to those towns as well with help of your many, many friends. And you also increase your country's dollar by basically making sure that these areas that have no people have secure housing, have awesome human beings in there who are trying to like flee from these wars and bits and pieces. You create visas, you create jobs, and you also create an infrastructure in place that helps these towns grow. And thus, the money you accumulate from these taxes you can use to offset taxes from everybody else, for the Joe Schmoes, for the people who are working class in America who want to pay cheaper taxes. That's how you do it, because you're a businessman, Mr. Trump. You are a businessman, and you want to make sure that this does great for America and does great for the business. So then you also make sure that you put towards a thing, and I know this is kind of, I'm being a huge pain in the ass when I say this. We open up abortion clinics. I know, Christians and everything, people don't want fetuses to be aborted. And it's a big thing. It's a big thing out there, and I understand it. But what we do is we get these clinics in place. And these awesome clinics in place to help women deal with issues. And this is a hot burn topic, such as rape, and ways so they can get rid of these children that are not going to be helped. And I understand everyone has a life. And I'm a pro-life guy as well. I believe that children should be nurtured, but there are extensive situations where this has to happen, and you help these women out. You help them cope with their situations, and you help them not bring into the world children that shouldn't be here because they are not looked after. And I know it's a big thing, but what you can do is, if you want, help raise a little bit on those taxes to get these clinics working, and then we can look at military funding. Look at those big costs, there's costs for transitioning. Well, here's an idea. Why don't we just not have people transition on the military if you feel it costs too much? Or you can allocate a little bit of that $48 billion that you have in there, or the, 4.8 million that you have going towards people with limp dick, and actually give them a little bit of chance, give them something. But it's up to you. Or you can just get rid of it in total. But just let people serve who want to serve you and want to serve your country. Because in the end, that's all they want to do. They want your assistance. They want your help. And if you want to show that Obama, that nasty Obama person, that you're a far better president, then maybe, just maybe, you can do a better job than Mr. Obama himself, couldn't you? Do a better job. Show the world why you are making America great again. And that's just 3 ideas that I have in place. 3 ideas. If you want to use them, you're more than welcome to them. I don't own the copyright, of course, Mr. Trump. I have no copyrights over these issues. But I can basically see that, in the end, it's a simplistic plan. And I'm an idealist, Mr. Trump. Mr. Potus. I'm an idealist. And I really, really would appreciate you, being the President of the United States himself, listening to what idealists. Because right now you've got people around you who only care about themselves. And that's another thing we can do. You said you wanted to drain the swamp that is the American government. Well, why don't you actually do it? And I know, it's insane, right? You get the fat cats out. You put legislations where they can't be lobbied into protecting the interests of big pharmaceutical companies and big businesses. You get hospitals to decrease the prices down of those huge extortionate prices that they're putting on the American people. And I guarantee you, Mr. President, you'll probably get voted a 2nd term, you'll get voted a 3rd term. Because by doing so, by focusing on the needs of your people, the needs of the many who outweigh the needs of the few, I believe you could be the greatest president ever. And that's just my opinion. This is coming from this little British person who has no stake in your tenure. But I'm a person who loves people. I have a load of American friends. I have family. I have people who deserve a chance and deserve a president that will love them and look out for them. Because that's what you're in office for. And I understand, it interrupts your golf breaks and it interrupts your meetings where you sit down and put down Mr. Obama. By doing all these things and helping people in the long run, I think you can probably show Mr. Obama what you can do. You have a majority right now. You have people in place that could help you make that country great again. And you can show people exactly what you're made of. And you know what I think you're made of, Mr. Trump? You're made of that sterner stuff, aren't you? You've got those big coconut-shaped balls. You've got those huge grapefruits, as Vince McMahon would say, a friend of yours as well. So why don't you show every person in this world what you can do? Be the big businessman and the corporate entity. Increase America's infrastructure. Show these people what you can do. Because I believe, Mr. Trump, you can make America great again. And I believe that tweeting son of a gun that you are, of course, who tweets everything out about your personal life and legislation, I believe you can do it. And I believe you can make these people see exactly what an awesome white-skinned president with blonde hair can do that, you freaking champ. I bet the ladies love you, don't they? They do. I bet they love you. Because that's what Americans need. They need a president who thinks about the people. They need a president who can give people exactly what they want. So Mr. Trump, as a man after your own heart, as a virile man just like you, I believe you can make America great again. And just use those few suggestions. As I said, I don't own any copyright over those suggestions, Mr. Trump. I think those can be your ideas, because we know, coming from me, they wouldn't be ideas, would they? They would be your ideas. They'll be the ideas of the POTUS. They'll be the ideas of the man's man, Donald J. Trump. Show people that Trump Tower, you gorgeous son of a gun. And, you know what? Here's another thing. Let's talk about Mr. Trump. The Mexican issues. The fact that you're, as you put it, the country is allowing rapists and con man and, drug dealers over the borders. Well, here's an idea where you can fix it. Take the borders down. Make Mexico an American state. And that way, you can invite your neighbors in free. Get more taxes. You increase the taxes over there because they'll be paying taxes straight to the American government. You filter out all the other bullshit and the criminals. You get American police officers in there and basically make sure that Mexico becomes great again, just like the rest of America. And speaking of police officers, we need to have a talk about the issues going on at the moment where we have police officers supplanting evidence. We've got bad cops on there who are mistreating people. I'm not saying all of them are like that, of course. I'm just saying that there are a few. Now, we need to basically put stricter punishments on these guys and not allow them to get away with these situations, such as hurting people, raping people, and killing people. And Mr. Trump, I know you care about the people. So why don't we see if we can put legislations in place, not just at a local level, but at a governmental level, to basically making sure that every officer that mistreats people, that hurts people, that harms people, that kills people, is held accountable. I know, right? Oh, I'm such a stickler. It's like I'm basically doing stand-up right now. But I think you could do it. I think you could make sure that these people are held accountable, these nasty human beings, and make sure you reward the good cops, the good guys. The ones who go in the neighborhoods, they look after people and their children, and they show communities that they're not harmful, nasty human beings. And filter out the trash, Mr. Trump. I believe you should basically make sure that these guys get a lot more training, and that stuff like racism is filtered out of the police force. And I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking that by doing this, by having this sort of thing happen, that you're basically going to do something that may not be wise, that may basically be really, really bad. But I think a cleaner police force means better PR for the police force, means better sentencing, means that true criminals, people who are convicted of crimes and who have actually performed said crimes, are actually treated in the manner that they should be treated as. And I think, in my opinion, that can help assist those people, like those families who are affected by this situation, who are treated in such a nasty manner. The whole Black Lives Matter thing that you keep talking about, and everyone keeps saying that Black lives don't matter, that blue lives matter, that all lives matter. Well, why don't you see if you can do that? Why don't you, if you can basically hold these guys accountable? Because by doing so, by allowing this to basically go in a direction where people are held accountable for their actions, then, just then, you stop the trash from going into the police force. You stop these people from affecting other people's lives. And, as a businessman, you stop the huge government payouts that you have to pay to the families of these individuals who will sue you on a local level because a person was wrongly convicted or wrongly accused. And I know you've got your private detention centers that you're putting in place by private companies who are friends of yours. But here's the thing. Oh, I slay myself. The thing that you can do with that is, why don't you actually give state funding to state administrative centres and stop making jails a business? Because that's what it is. These guys get funding in regards to who gets incarcerated. You stop getting cells overcrowded, you actually stop people from being harmed, and you allow the state to have a accountable system, so that people aren't wrongfully imprisoned, so that people aren't wrongfully accused, and so they are not put away. And any person who's been lobbied, in terms of judges, in terms of people like corporate businesses who are treated as such, can basically have a system in place so that people don't get bought into prison, so you have bodies to be used for cheap labor, which is the hot button topic, isn't it? Slavery. I know, slavery. Oh, that didn't exist. Slavery's gone now. What are we talking about? I'm so silly. So here's the thing. So you've got all these things in place. You've got all these infrastructures in place. You're making money. You're saving money. Isn't that something that a businessman would do? Because you say you're all about big business. You said that you were on The Apprentice. You were this big, huge person who made loads of money for himself and the Trump brand. You know, that big, huge brand like Trump Tower and all those books and Trump Academia. You know, all those things. You're this big businessman and you did it on a small loan from your dad of $1 million. I know. Oh, that was chump change. I couldn't even freaking do that. You know, it's amazing how you became a billionaire from 1 million. But if you're thinking about that, Mr. Trump, that would be the way forward, because by infiltrating business standards, by giving America that kick up the arse economically, you could be the great power that you say you are. You could be the land of the free, the home of the brave, that big country that you say that you are. And I believe, Mr. Trump, that you can make America great again. So, this has been Mr. Michael Burhan, of course, and if you love me, make sure you click on that subscribe button over there, and tell me, Mr. Trump, if you want to cite this video, you are more than welcome to cite this video. If you want to say that everything I've just stated here is all your idea, well, Mr. Trump, I think it is, because only someone as smart as you would do something so bold as what I've just suggested. Thank you for listening, Mr. Potus, and have a great day. Bye-bye.